What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and we are here on the USC channel at the voice of college football. In this video, we're going to predict whether or not USC will be better or worse in 2022 than they were in 2021. Like to do this early in the offseason, kind of give some early thoughts on each team. And for USC, when we did this last year, I predicted them to be about the same. In 2020, they were 4-1. They won the division. I said they'd do the same this past season, and obviously that was incorrect. They were 4-8. It was a disastrous season for USC. I know a lot of fans wanted Clay Helton to go, so if anything good came from it, then yeah, it did get Clay Helton fired, and they brought in Lincoln Riley. How about that hire? I think that shocked a lot of people this offseason. And so he comes in, and yes, he comes in and has a lot of hype and everything, but they lost a lot of guys. A lot of guys decided to enter the transfer portal. A lot of guys went off to the NFL. But Lincoln Riley also brought in several players in the transfer portal. So how will that all shake out? Again, 4-8 last year. I think you probably know where I'm going in this video. This team, that it would be hard to do worse than 4-8. But we'll still go through and I'll give you my early thoughts on this team as we look ahead to 2022. So they were 4-8 last season, fourth in the Pac-12 South. When you look at the roster, they lose Jackson Dart and Keaton Slovis at quarterback. Two big losses if you didn't have Caleb Williams coming in. I think Caleb Williams a chance to probably be better than both of those guys, and I think his potential absolutely is he has a higher ceiling than both of those guys. And coming in already knowing the Lincoln Riley offense will be huge for them. So I think you definitely will have an upgrade there at quarterback. They lose, some talented running backs. Keontae Ingram, Malachi gone. Keenan Kristen, a speedster, also gone. Didn't have too many carries last season, I don't think. But yeah, they do have Darwin Barlow back. So you have one guy coming back with some experience on this USC team. But when you look at the transfer portal, that is where USC has a chance, I think, to be even better. Especially looking at Travis Dye coming over from Oregon, also Austin Jones from Stanford. Two big-time additions at the running back position. Big-time additions there at that running back spot. So I think they're going to be set at quarterback and running back, no doubt about it. You look at the wide receivers. Drake London, obviously a huge loss, one of the top receivers in the country. KD Nixon also going to be gone. They do have, some guys coming back. Taj Washington, maybe their top guy coming back. Got Kyle Ford coming back as well. So you've got a couple of receivers from last season, and then you look at who they added in the transfer portal. Brendan Rice from Colorado going to be big. Terrell Bynum from Washington, another big-time wide receiver. Mario Williams from Oklahoma. Yeah, they got some big-time players in the transfer portal, no doubt about it. This offense at the skill position, they are set. I'm not really concerned at all, especially with Lincoln Riley calling plays. Kromnick gone at tight end. He'll be really their only loss at that tight end position. It'll be interesting to see how they use the tight ends. Lincoln Riley likes to use the H-backs and all that. So that'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. They do have Wolf and Fallow back, Ethan Ray, Malcolm Epps, who came from Texas originally. It was kind of a hybrid wide receiver tight end. So they've got weapons on offense, no doubt. This offense should be improved from where they were last season. And like I said, with Lincoln Riley calling plays, that alone is going to be big for them. You look at the offensive line, don't really lose too much. Jimmons, McKenzie there on the right side of the offensive line. Those guys are going to be gone. An offensive line that really wasn't great last season, but they bring probably their top two guys back. Nillen at center, he'll be back. Voorhees, he'll be back at guard. So I think the offensive line going to be okay for USC. But that's probably, when you look at the offense, that's where I'm going to be concerned with this team. They had skill position players last year. I mean, it was the defense, it was the offensive line, and even with Lincoln Riley and all these additions at the skill positions, that offensive line could be what keeps them from really taking that next step and being a potential playoff contender type team this season. Looking at the defense, Lichtenstein gone at defensive end. They don't really lose a whole lot there. Drake Jackson, that'll be a big loss at linebacker. Mwaga, those are big losses at that linebacker position, but not a lot of guys in terms of numbers. not too concerned about what they lose. Again, they weren't that great last year, though, so just because you have guys coming back doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be better. Shane Lee coming in from Alabama, I think, is going to be a huge boost for them at the linebacker position. Earl Barquette from TCU on the defensive line. He'll be a big pickup for them. But I think they've got some work to do on defense. That's what could hold them back this season. You look at the secondary, lose a lot of guys. Isaac Taylor-Stewart gone. Chris Steele gone. Those are big losses. Polamalu gone at safety. Also losing Chase Williams, Greg Johnson. So some big-time losses there in the secondary. That's another area of concern. They added McCutcheon from Oklahoma, a cornerback. Blackman, a cornerback from Colorado. So some guys that can have some depth there. But I don't see a lot of guys coming back that are really that stand out to me as being potential stars for them. Xavier Alford, Kalen Bullock, those guys should be pretty solid at safety. Cornerback's definitely a concern. Not a lot of depth coming back there, and that's probably the biggest concern on this defense, secondary, but specifically that cornerback position. So even though this offense should be really, really good this year, if the offensive line can take care of business, the defense, there are some concerns. But this team is not going 4-8. They're not finishing fourth in the Pac-12 South. That offense alone will get them, I think, to a much higher spot than 4-8. And even if they go 7-5, that's an improvement from last season. So this is an easy one. I mean, USC will be better in 2022. I don't think there's really any doubt about that. How much better will they be? That's the question. They've got potential. If all the pieces come together, they could absolutely win the Pac-12 this season. I don't know if they have quite enough. I mean, again, if everything goes their way, I still don't know if they have enough to make a playoff run. But I think they do have a chance to be a top 10, top 15 team this year. If things don't come together for them, it might not quite be that great of a year. But like I said, it's going to be better than 4-8. So absolutely, USC should be better in 2022.